Kaufman, welcome to the Trails Collective interview series. I'm so glad you're here because not only do I get access to you right now, but you live near me, and so you're a frequent running buddy and one of my best friends. So thank you for gracing me with your beautiful face on my interview series.
Thank you, Ellie. This is fun.
So let's preface who Amelia is. So Amelia was one of the first ultra runners that I knew. And from what I hear from her other friends, that's true for them too. So she's been doing this for a long time. And she's, how old are you, 27?
26.
26. So she's a young 26, and she already has a pretty impressive resume. She ran her first ultra in college, yes?
Yeah.
And that was, it was because she wanted to run Cayuga Trails, our local race, but she had to have a qualifier. And so she ran the Festival of Races in New Jersey. This is right?
Yeah, the New Jersey Ultra Fest.
So how old were you?
I guess I was a sophomore in college, so 19, 20.
Okay. And after this, she has impressive finishes at Twisted Branch 100K, which DNFer right here, but Amelia got third, so that's insanely impressive. She ran for 14 hours, which blows my mind still. Good finishes at Cayuga, and most recently at the Black Canyon 60K, where she got third place. And not only that, but she got to meet Camille and Jim and Jamil. And I mean, what's winning more than that? So I feel like that was a good decision for her that day. What's your favorite distance?
Oh, wow. I really like the 50-mile distance because it is a solid all-day run, but you also get to go home for dinner and have a good night's sleep. So 100-milers, a little bit more challenging in that way.
Oh, yes.
But also, I like a good 10K. A good 10K is amazing. I like 10Ks a lot.
I forgot to mention that Amelia has done, I think, 300 milers. So I still don't know. Like, I've asked her about this, and Amelia is so chill that she's like, yeah, I just ran. Like, yeah. And it just blows my mind because she's so humble. And so I'm so thankful that you came on today. And so so you ran in high school and college and on the track and cross country, yes?
In high school. In college, I just started ultra running independently. I wasn't on any kind of team. But in high school, I was on the track and cross country teams all 4 years.
And you still like running on the track. Like, it's very funny. Amelia, you aren't one of those people that are like, I just can't run on the road. I can't do any of that stuff. Like, I just have to do trails. Like, you were like, yeah, one time Riley and I ran like 50 miles on the track. And I was like, really? And so that's pretty cool. Like, you really do like to still do everything. You just prefer, I think, trails, right?
Yeah, I would say that sums it up.
So you ran just for fun in college. And so what sparked your interest into a 50K?
Yeah, so I think as soon as I graduated high school, I ran my first marathon at the Lake Placid Marathon. And it was an incredible experience. And I realized that I could go further. Like, if I just slowed down a little bit, I could go further. And then the following summer, I learned about the Cayuga Trails 50 and really, really wanted to do it. Like, that became my mission. And I realized I needed a qualifying race to be able to do it. So that's when I discovered the New Jersey Ultra Fest and then ended up doing the 50K there with my friend Riley. So once we kind of did that, it was game over. Like, we were hooked.
Just want to keep going farther.
Yeah. It's amazing what you can do if you just slow down and eat food and hydrate, you can go all day.
I know. I should start doing those things
You
because
just have to be slower, Ellie.
I can go slow, okay, as referenced by you and I trying to have a nice slow day out on the trails and our plans being foiled by Ian. So I can go slow, actually. And so that's really sweet. So what is it about Cayuga? So I interviewed a woman yesterday named Elizabeth. I can't pronounce her last name. It's very easy, but it's just not coming. And she has been training for basically the past year for Cayuga because she spectated it and then she DNF'd last year. And then a couple weeks ago, she finally finished the 50 miles on the day it was supposed to happen, but obviously it's been postponed. And she just talked about, you know, this mythical, like she loved Cayuga, had to go back, had to try. So what was it, like what drew you to Cayuga Trails?
That's a good question. I think it's the Ithacan within me. So I was born and raised here in Ithaca, and I still live here, and I'm so proud of this place for many reasons. But one of those reasons is just the natural beauty of this area. I mean, so many gorges and waterfalls and scenic wood trails, and it's just a really beautiful area to be in. And I grew up kind of frolicking in the forests here through the Treatment State Park, Buttermilk State Park. So these places are near and dear to me. And to have a race in that area of 50 miles, like a distance that I had never gone before, was just so enticing. So I had to do it. I was just drawn to that idea.
You didn't want to try the marathon first?
I had already done a marathon. I wanted to try something different, I guess.
Okay. And so that first year, how did you do?
I don't know. I mean, I had no expectations. I just did it. I don't really remember my time. You could go on Ultra Sign Up and look. Um, but I wasn't competitive at that point. I was just kind of doing it to do it and see how I felt and if I could do it. And then once I had a number of ultras under my belt, I started to get a little bit more competitive.
How many ultras have you run so far?
I don't know, but you could check my Ultra Sign Up.
That's what I tell people. I'm like, I have no clue. I don't know. I've run 3 marathons. Is that good enough? Like, I don't know.
I would guess like a dozen.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know.
I think that people, at least when I look at you, I always think that you've run a lot more than that. And I think people think the same thing for me. But I'm like,
Yeah.
I run like 6. I don't really know. I'm here. And yeah, what I really like about your training style is that you're very relaxed. And I think it's good for someone like me who is a type A. And I know that like and you know how to put in the work. It's not like you are lazy or you asked me for speed workouts on the way to Philly. So you ran track and stuff in high school. So it's not, but you're also very just, you listen. I feel like you're very in tune with your body and you trust your body. And so if you're just gonna go out and do an easy 5-miler, that'll be cool. But then also maybe you'll, oh, I feel good today and I've got time, so I'm going to go out for a couple hours and I'm just going to go run over here and then I'll go run over there. And I don't know, speak to that. Like, where does your mindset come from?
Yeah, I don't know. It just comes naturally. I'm not highly structured. I mean, I like structure, but I kind of like to make it myself. So I've never followed any kind of training plan. And I loosely follow what's recommended to train for a race where, I'll build up to peak like 3 weeks before the race. But the numbers are never important. It's just really time on my feet that's important. And I'm actually kind of proud of my dumb watch here. So I don't have one of those fancy GPS watches. I just track how many hours I've run. But also, I also bike and hike, so I kind of include that in time on my feet. I mean, just time being active and using my body. I think it all counts. And it's worked well for me so far. Maybe I could go faster with more of a structured training plan, but I don't think that I would work that way. It just doesn't seem like it would mesh. So I'm happy doing what I'm doing. And even now, with all my races canceled, I'm not running that much. A few miles here and there most days, but nothing crazy. So I've been doing a lot more biking recently, and that's just been really enjoyable. Just fully embracing what I feel like doing right now, and I feel no pressure to run. So I just run whenever I want and bike whenever I want.
So when is the time before when you have felt pressure to run?
I think last summer I raced a lot, and I was really competitive in the local trail running scene. And so I was pretty much like racing and then recovering until the next race and not really good at getting in a lot of actual training or running. And so I felt pressure to like do well. I mean, it's all pressure I put on myself, just because I wanted to do well at these events. So I think last summer was kind of a learning experience where I don't need to do every race. So it's been nice to just kind of relax and not worry about that.
Well, it wasn't just last summer. I mean, I remember you did like Black Canyon and Bandera and just like go like it did really seem like you raced a lot, and you seemed to enjoy it, and it sounded like you were having a lot of fun on these trips. And when after Twisted Branch, you got third. So that's a really good. So, but did you feel burnout at all?
No, I didn't. I mean, physically I felt fine. Mentally I felt fine. I think I just didn't need to push myself to the point where I felt pressure to run. Like, oh, I didn't run yet today. I have to get in a run now. And so I don't feel that way right now with no races. It's just more of a relaxed approach to running. Like yesterday, I thought maybe I would do a night run, but I never did one. I ended up being tired after work and I wanted to respond to some emails. So I just did that instead. And it wasn't a big deal. I didn't stress myself out about it.
I feel the exact same way right now. I am running and I'm training and I'm doing 2 workouts a week and things like that. But also, if I want to take a day off, I take a day off, or I'm trying to and really embracing relaxing on things. Like, I give my workouts my best effort on the day, but it's always that balance between grit and grace. Like, trying as hard as you can on the day, but also knowing when to pull the plug when it's just not coming. And I sometimes struggle with like, am I should I not do this because my body is tired, or am I just being a wimp and I just want to avoid being uncomfortable? So
Right.
how do you, is that something you've ever felt, or and if so, what do you tell yourself? Do you just say tomorrow will be a different day and I can do it tomorrow, or do you try to push through?
Can I show a piece of my artwork?
Yes. Side note, everybody, Amelia is a fantastic artist, and she's designing a logo for a YouTube channel right now, actually, and she's very talented. So yes.
I made this so that I would not make up excuses to not run.
Oh, I like it.
um,
That's so cool. That's
although
beautiful.
now I feel like I'm not making up excuses to not run. I'm just biking instead because that's just what's feeling good. I bought a new bike and I just can't get enough of it. I just want to be on it all the time. So I've just kind of shifted my focus.
I think that's important. I think right now, I mean, we should all, and I mean, all the time. That's what us amateurs should do. Like, we should just do what we want to do. But even now, like, especially now, because there aren't any races, and also, I mean, if, like, it depends on what your goals are. Like, if you have a long-term goal of like speed development or mileage development or getting better at some technical aspect on a trail, then yeah, you should probably practice that if that's your goal. But I think right now it's perfectly fine to either pause those goals or just realize that maybe they're not that important. And if you just want to have fun and get outside and get on your new bike, that's what you should be doing right now.
Yeah, and there's so many cool bike adventures in this area. So my summer goal, I still have goals athletically. My summer goal is to bike around all the Finger Lakes.
Okay.
So that's 11 lakes. So far I've done 3. So quite a few more to go, but I think it's a doable summer goal. And I have several cycling friends, a lot of them from high school. So I've been planning like weekend adventures with people. So it's been fun just to kind of mix it up and delve more into my cycling side.
Do you ever find, like, I interview a lot of ultra runners, and I still love reading about trail running and stuff. And I do think about like different races to do next year and stuff like that. And I just get excited. But do you ever find that like you like almost like, I would sign up for that, or like, yeah, maybe I'll do that, and then you look at like what you've been doing for training and you're like, I haven't ran more than 13 miles in a couple months. I don't know if that would actually work.
Yeah, I do think that signing up for races is just a motivator in itself. Like as soon as I register for a race, I know I'm committed and I will put in the work to train for it. So yeah, if I do register for like a fall race, I'll get back into running shape.
How long does it take to come back into shape?
Probably not that long because I never really lose fitness. I mean, I'm still in really good shape right now. I'm still biking a lot, hiking a lot, running here and there. So I have a solid base of fitness. So I don't know, maybe a few weeks.
That's pretty good turnaround. That's the one nice thing about ultra running is like you don't have to get into like fast fitness really.
Right.
Because that takes so long. I think that's one of the reasons I'm doing it right now. One, I'm enjoying it and I have a new workout buddy, but then also like I know that if I like stop, it's gonna be it was so hard to build it, and it was fun but it was also hard, and I'd rather start at like a higher point next time so that like I don't have to start at the bottom and work back up.
Yeah, I've kind of learned that the trick to just being a consistent runner is just to not dip, like always have some base level of fitness. So even if you're injured running, just do more cycling or swimming or something so that you keep up your base fitness. So then you're not like working and trying to dig yourself out of a fitness hole.
So you also don't really get injured. Like I honestly have never seen you injured. So how but you also like I do strength work and I do like I roll and I do mobility, injury prevention just because I don't want to get injured. And I mean it's generally works. Like I had a little bit of IT band stuff back in December, but that was not really due to over racing or over running. It was because I ran really slowly on a freezing day down from Cornell back home. That was done. But generally, I think that all the mobility and strength stuff and rolling that I do is helping to keep me less injured, especially now when I am doing faster stuff. I know that like you don't do tons of that. So tell me like what some of your strategies are. Just how have you stayed injury free basically your whole career?
Well, I have been injured. My first Vermont 100 in, what was that, 2016? I had IT band syndrome for that and ended up dropping out at mile 80. Honestly, I'm surprised I made it that far because I was in pain the whole way. um, so yeah, I had really bad IT band syndrome for a couple months that summer. But I have been getting really into foam rolling. I foam roll every single night. It's just part of my nightly ritual.
It feels so
And
good.
David Roach has taught me that it doesn't have to be very much, just 5 to 10 minutes every day.
Mm-hmm.
Just get the major muscle groups. Um, so I have a collection of foam rollers, and I do that every night before I go to bed, just to kind of loosen things up a bit, get the blood flowing. And I think that in the long run really, really helps prevent injuries. Just to be consistent about it. It doesn't matter if it's like 15 minutes, just even if it's 3 minutes, that's better than nothing.
No, I completely agree. Once I finally got on the foam rolling train, I do it every day. If I don't do it, it's like very strange. Like
You can feel it the next day, right?
I'm gonna do it like after
Absolutely.
we get done. Like, yeah. And to be honest, like I think that's really wise because I have just noticed a trend with trail runners that like they like to eschew things. Like all they want to do is run. And that is fine. It's great. But also like you can help yourself out a little bit with like, and especially foam rolling feels so good. And the
I know.
science is out. Like they don't like there aren't any like foam rolling like reduces injury, blah blah blah. But what for me it connects me to my body. Like I feel my muscles and I feel everything. And then I just think that it makes me like a smarter, more in tuned athlete.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point that it just feels good. Like, I mean, it's the same reason people go to a professional massage therapist. Like, it can be painful if they're really getting out the knots, but largely it feels good and relaxing and like it was a service to your body. And so I can do that every night. Obviously, it's not quite as good, um, but yeah, it feels amazing. I can definitely feel the difference when I feel the blood like rushing back into my muscles.
Hmm. Yeah, it's sometimes the biggest struggle is like just getting on the floor.
You need the RA roller.
I know, and then I just don't get up. Like after I get on the floor, and I'm like, oh, not getting up, not. I've ended so many runs recently, just like lying on the floor. Just like I just want to. It's so nice to have a bigger place now, so that I have room to like lay on the floor. Yeah, it's great.
That's nice.
So, what were you planning on doing if the pandemic didn't stifle our plans?
Yeah. So my lineup was Boston Marathon in April, um, and then a trail run near Rochester, and then Manitou's Revenge in the Catskills, Twisted Branch 100K in August. And I was probably going to fill in with some smaller races too. Like the Finger Lakes Runners Club puts on a bunch of smaller, like 10K, 5K, half marathon. So I was probably going to do a bunch of those as well. But those were the major ones. All of those have either gotten canceled or gone virtual. Like Boston Marathon is now virtual in September. So I don't really know what that means or if I'm even going to participate. I just got the email today that Twisted Branch is canceled. So
Yeah,
I mean,
yesterday.
it's sad, but I'm not surprised, and I think it was the right decision. So it'll happen next year, and I'm in for next year. I just deferred.
I was on the fence about signing up anyway. And because it sounds really fun, but again, what am I training for?
Right.
So, I mean, I am running on the road every day and I love it. I'm doing like speed workouts, I like them. And I just don't have any, like, besides like wanting to go spend like a couple hours in the trails, like with you, just chill. I don't really like know how I would even go about training for that right now. And it's just not something that I really also want to figure out. I feel like this time is a very mentally and emotionally taxing too. So I just don't feel very wanting to experiment too much right now or like build anything, just because I'm thinking about racial justice and the pandemic and like balancing understanding where people are coming from, but then also being like, you need to take responsibility here and not be an idiot. So it's just a lot on my brain, and thinking about doing anything else other than putting my Kinvaras on and running down the road just kind of seems a little bit taxing.
Yeah, and I think that's totally fair. Some moments lend themselves to experimenting and some moments don't. And I think we're just in a moment where we have to make do with what we have, our Kinvaras and our roads, and think more about other people, particularly Black people right now, and always. I mean, it's really horrible what our country is built on. And so these racial protests are just a symbol of what we need to work on, what we've always had to work on. Yeah, so I'm thinking a lot about that too, and what my role as a white person is in that.
You know, I heard something interesting the other day. It was about what if we never had had any wars, you know? And immediately it was a conversation between two people, and one of the people was like, I just don't think having a war is worth anything. And a counter argument was, well, if we didn't have the Civil War, Black people would still be enslaved, and arguably they've still been enslaved after, like, anyway. But then the guy pointed out, yeah, but if we didn't have the Revolutionary War, we'd still be a part of Britain, and Britain outlawed slavery like a lot earlier than we did. And so it's interesting to think about like the what ifs, and and it's sad. And I am doing the best that I can to, because I love history, but I realize that I need to start saying I've loved white history and now I'm learning Black history, and it's amazingly, incredibly interesting and important. And so I think that maybe it wasn't like an ideal time to like for all this stuff to happen, but I'm glad it did, because like to be honest, if you don't know something is wrong, you can't fix it. So it's important that things are getting fixed, even though we're all in a pandemic too. Like we'll handle it, and we're going to come out of it a lot better than we were. So yeah,
I hope so. Yeah, it's a crazy time.
yes. And then do you ever feel like sort of, I think we talked about this a little bit during our 40-mile fundraiser, but do you ever feel guilty about even thinking about races?
About races?
Yeah. I mean, I go swinging from like, oh yeah, maybe I could do that race or think about that, and to others just like, this isn't even relevant. Like, who cares? But I think you
Yeah.
also need that balance, of some fun things to look forward to, which is why I like training every day, to be like, well, actually zoom out. It doesn't matter if you do this race because there's other things that need to be worried about.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, when I saw the email today from Twisted Branch, I felt like no feelings. I mean, I was kind of expecting it, and most of my feelings were more for the race directors, because they poured in so much time and energy to try to make it happen. So I feel bad for them. But no, it just seems so trivial in the scheme of things. And I know that races will be back like next year and most years, hopefully. So I will have plenty more chances to race. And so I think right now is just a time to not worry about it. Don't get hung up about it. and just enjoy my new bike. I'm still getting in a lot of adventures with friends, which is usually what races are for me. Like, they're very social. And so now I'm not in a big group, but just a friend and I will, bike around a lake or go for a ride together. So I'm still getting in some active social time. So that feels nice. It's just calmer, a lot calmer. There's just less going on. So I can just focus on kind of my own personal goals. I've been wanting to bike around all of Finger Lakes like every summer, and I just haven't been able to because I race so much. So I think this is truly the summer to do that.
That sounds awesome too. And I'm glad you're really embracing it. And I also enjoy that you don't feel like you need to justify it. You're just like, I'm doing it. So it's cool. Speaking of races of the future, you and I both have a direct line to Ian, who is one of the premier trail race directors in our area. What do races of the future look like? Do you know? Have you talked to him about it? We've discussed it like a little, and I've read everything that's come out, but what do you think races of the future are going to look like?
Good question. I haven't researched or read anything, so maybe my response is not informed. But I can see having more staggered starts, like maybe, I don't know, 20 people start at a time, like 10 minutes apart or something. And maybe those are organized by speed, similar to like how the Cat's Tail Trail Marathon works. I can see like fewer of the, this is kind of unfortunate, the cupless events. So now there's probably going to be cups, individual cups, and you have to throw away your cup afterwards. Also, no communal bowl of M&Ms anymore, I imagine. So that's a little sad, but whatever.
Thank
God. Maybe more aid stations are drop bag only, and maybe there's just fewer volunteers, maybe even just a single volunteer or no volunteers at the aid stations. So I think there's ways to make it work. It's just got to be implemented.
I agree with what you said about what races are for you, our community. And I think that it's a big part of why I race, because I have like my CTB family, but I am also an introvert, so I spend a lot of time alone, and I'm fine with that. So races for me are like a community event. Like, that's when I see all of our people. That's when I see our trail family.
Totally.
And so like before the race, you're anxious and you're sort of like standing there trying to eat something and it's cold, and then you're racing, and I don't normally race next to people. I've tried to, but it just never works out that way. And so after the race, like Many on the Jenny, we just like hang out at the end. You just talk forever. And that's when you catch up, is when you're all in that like happy post-race delirious state and just eating. And that's not going to happen. And so another factor with racing it for me is like, do I really want to go and then not have the best part?
Right. Right. Yeah, I don't know.
I can see myself doing it for shorter races, actually, like a half marathon, 5K, 10K, even maybe up to a marathon, because especially after a half or a full marathon, I feel kind of like shit afterwards, and I can barely eat, and usually I don't stick around that long, because those events are also like, there's usually a ton more people. I don't know anybody. And so I don't really feel like I need to stay or anything, because like, it's not like it's me and 50 other people where like I kind of need to save face and like talk. It's like me and 5,000 other people, and it's just, I can leave. So I could see myself like, if the wave starts, like in and out, like all I'm using it for is like a test of fitness or like trying to like get a PR or whatever. I could see it for that, but for trails, that hurts me. I want
Yeah.
my people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it might happen next year and the year after. So there will be more post-race parties. I know that is kind of the best part after you've raced your heart out and you're done and you got your Crocs on and a beer in your hand and your friends. Yeah, that's the best feeling ever. But I have faith that that will come back, not this year, but next year. It'll be back at some point.
I swing between being someone that like, I'm just going to wait till everything is like normal with racing again, or maybe I should try like a couple, because maybe these new ways of doing it is going to be the new normal. So I might as well get used to it. I swing between wanting to try that and then also just like, I'll just wait until they're back to normal. Like I can wait. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel like I can wait. Um, I'm not in a huge rush
But let's
to
say this is
race.
like is for the next like year and a half. I
Yeah, I
mean,
can
it doesn't
wait.
take that long to get a vaccine, which might be the only safe way to have races.
Yeah, I can still wait. I think because I have other outlets, I'm still able to see friends if we go for a run on our own outside of a race, or we go for a bike ride, or because I work at the running store, um, I see runners and people I would see at races just in a different context. So yeah, it's not the same. But I also feel like life is long. I'm only 26 right now. I have many more years ahead of me. So eventually, yeah, I'll go to a race again.
I mean,
And
eventually
hopefully we can hug each other.
you might have to start biking around the Great Lakes.
Yeah, there we go.
Then you're gonna have to bike around the ocean, and I would love to see that.
I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, I don't either, but we'll figure it out. Oh, come on. You can there has to be like some sort of biking mechanism that goes on the water.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've never ridden one, but
Yeah, right. It's true.
maybe.
I mean, I think, we got time. So right now you say you do work at the running store and you also are getting your degree in graphic design.
Yeah, an associate's degree in graphic design.
So what is something that you could see yourself doing, like sort of marrying all your passions of being outside and biking and running and also creating art?
Yeah, I think a dream job would be like the one of the graphic designers at Ultra Running Mag or Trail Running Mag or Adventure Cycling Association. So that would be kind of a cool blend of all of my interests. But also I could see going a different route and going more into outdoor education and maybe doing graphic design freelance work on the side. So I don't really know where it will take me, but I think it will take me somewhere. So we'll just see what happens. Already I've been getting requests. I've already designed a logo for a friend. So right, it's taking me places. I just don't really know where. So I think
And
that's exciting.
that's the beauty.
That is the beauty.
So talk to me a little bit about, you like to camp and do those things. I like
Those
the
things.
Airbnb, those like dirty things. Um, so how did you learn how to do that?
How to camp?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I guess just doing it.
Did you do it when you were little? Like, did your parents take you, or did you just were like, I'm gonna get this tent and go do it?
So my dad and my brother and I would go camping a little bit when I was a kid. I can't remember how much, but just like one night in the woods when we were little. But I think my real camping breakthrough was a couple summers ago, the summer of 2017. So I guess 3 summers ago. My friends Scott and Riley and I biked down the West Coast from Seattle to Big Sur, and we camped mostly along the way. So that was kind of my biggest experimentation with camping. And from that experience, I've learned a lot. Like, I don't need such a big tent, and I don't need to carry these pots and pans. In fact, I don't need to cook at all. I can just make wraps and yeah, and canned beans. So I think that trip was probably my biggest camping experience and taught me the most. And
so I have two questions. One, the first one is, so you decide you're going to camp, you stop. How long from the time you stop to you have your tent set up and you're sitting there eating your can of beans?
Depended on what the vibe was. Sometimes it was really chill. We'd be drinking beers and just kind of enjoying the moment. Other times it was more rushed or there's mosquitoes. So anywhere between like, I don't know, 20 minutes and an hour.
Okay. So not that bad.
We got pretty good at setting up quickly.
I just feel like I would be like ready. Like when I get done with a run or with a bike, I just want to be like, clean up a little bit and then sit. I just like, oh, it's another hour of doing stuff. Oh God.
It's true. It's another step, but we learn to just deal with it. And in the end, it's worth it. Like then you'll have your tent ready and then you can just not worry about it for the rest of the night and just relax.
So then
and that's nice.
You'd wake up in the morning and then just eat breakfast and then get riding?
Pretty much, yeah.
A lot of Nutella?
A lot of Nutella on that trip, yep.
Oh, God. Okay, my second question. Have you ever thought of doing a through hike?
Yes. How could you not?
I've read about them, but I've never wanted to do one. Did you see how Scott Jurek looked at the end of his AT? Jeez.
I'm not doing an FKT.
It was Scott Jurek with the prune version.
Yeah, that was I know exactly what picture you're talking about too. No, I'm not doing that. I think it would be cool to do just an independently paced through hike. I mean, yeah, it is kind of something to do in life to hike the whole AT. So that's kind of always in the back burner of my mind. I have no plans of doing it, but if I find a time in life where it seems like that would be the right thing to do in the right time, I would think about it.
Would you want to go alone or with someone?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I'm hesitant to go alone because I've heard horror stories about women on the trail. But also, if I went with someone, it would have to be someone that I really, really got along with.
So not me. We wouldn't kill each other. I know. I'd be like, oh, Julia fell off that cliff.
I don't know where she went.
She took her Nutella with her. I don't know. Speaking of that, so you brought up a good point about feeling safe on the trail. Have you ever? Our trail running community is pretty nice with regard to a few exceptions, like Sean Blanton. Have you ever felt unsafe when you're running out on the trail? Because I know I've really never, besides like a car that I think is veering off the side of the road, like I don't really ever feel uncomfortable. I run on open roads. I never am running really where like someone can't hear my scream, but in the middle of the woods, I have like felt a little bit like, oh, I guess if somebody was here, that would be kind of, have you ever had any close encounters? What do you do to feel safe?
I have been very lucky and have not felt unsafe at all, which is good. But I also feel like it's possible. Like just, was it in the fall, this past fall or last summer, there was a couple sexual assaults on local trails. And it's terrifying because it could have been me. I guess I was just lucky enough, and people generally are very friendly, and I've never experienced anything like that. But it is kind of in the back burner as a female runner. So I don't know what to really think about it, because I do run alone a lot in the woods, sometimes in pretty remote areas, and just haven't had any issues. But it is a very terrifying reality that women especially have to deal with.
Yeah. I have a similar answer. I remember when that happened, and Ian like sent us the email about this man in Danby, and I was like, well, I'm on the roads now. But I mean, there are like, whenever I'm running behind the Ithaca Farmers Market, there's like a guy there that I've, you know, it's not like I'd want to invite him over for dinner.
Good thing you don't have to.
Yeah. So I always, you know, get through there pretty quick, but I've always just wondered, like, I run a different route every day. So I try not to vary my patterns enough that no one can really get my schedule.
Right.
But yeah, no, I felt like a little bit just like, hello.
Yeah. It's something I don't really think about until moments like that,
Mm-hmm.
when I realize that I am a woman and this could be something that I face. So I don't know how other women try to prepare for that, either with pepper spray or running with friends, or just embracing what they love doing and not worrying about it. So everyone has their own approaches.
Have you ever seen those like nunchuck things?
For
They like,
runners?
yeah, you can like carry this thing that's like
Oh, yeah. I don't think I would do that, but
I kind of just want to carry them in everyday life.
yeah, they might be useful.
Yeah, they might be. I mean, got some tough customers at CTB. So to close out the interview, what's your favorite just everyday training loop that you could do in your sleep that you just love here in Ithaca? I know what you're going to say.
My 6 Mile Creek route.
Which
I live really close to 6 Mile Creek.
Yeah.
So I just run from my house through the woods. The trails kind of follow the river. And I go out to Third Dam, or actually not recently because the trail is a mess. So maybe stop at Potter's Falls and then turn around and come back. That's probably about 6 miles, 5 to 6 miles. And it's beautiful the whole time, and it's right out my back door. So I love that route.
And what is your favorite, that's gels don't count, neither do goos, something that you look forward to at mile 70 of 100 mile?
And it can't be a goo.
God, if you still like goos at mile 70, there's something wrong with you.
I'm just kidding. Probably mashed potatoes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, or an actually warm quesadilla.
Potatoes. Yeah, I love the salty soup.
Yep.
Soup.
Anything that's just kind of soft and mushy and goes down easy.
Yeah, anything swallowable.
Yeah, don't want to be chewing.
Yeah, I just want to feel it like expanding in my chest and just like enveloping me into this warm noodly hug. That's what it is.
A noodly hug.
Yes. And then what's your favorite post-race meal? And that Big Mac from Burger King after Twisted Branch does not count either.
How are you gonna know I said Big Mac? Well, any any kind of fast food. I don't know what it is, and I'm not the only one who craves fast food after a race. So something's going on. But yeah, like greasy French fries, chicken nuggets, like fried potato stuff. What are those things called? Hash browns. Hash browns.
Yeah, my
And milkshakes. All of that is just really hits the
dipped
spot.
in the fries, dipped in the shake.
Yeah.
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 All of that. I will eat that up.
After Water Gap, there's like a Dairy Queen, and it's the only Dairy Queen around. And each time I like go there, get a large like Blizzard and the fries, dip in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Or when
That's the way to do it.
Wendy's has that 50-cent Frosty, you're like, oh.
I know the only time I eat that stuff is after a race.
Seriously. Okay, I do this more often, but after the Olympic trials where the qualifying race, I ate like a bunch of bags of Cheetos on the way home. That was like my post-race meal. I was like, I'm living like a king. My sister driving and me just like pounding a bag of Cheetos, but I eat those often. But they're really good. I don't know.
Yeah, and after an event like that, you can eat whatever you want, my friend.
I mean, but that's another thing. Like, I feel like you and I try to like. I don't really cut anything out when I'm training. So, I mean, like I crave like calories. Yeah. So like greasy, calorie dense foods after a race. But like, I mean, I still kind of eat those things while I'm training. But after races, I don't really get a Big Mac either. But like things like chips and like, I eat those things occasionally anyway. So
Right.
I don't have like I want this pre-race meal because I never eat it. It's like, I don't know. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I eat ice cream all the time.
I mean, you work technically in purity.
It's just something I like extra crave after a race.
Yeah. It just tastes like a
that's
little
the
better.
that's the only thing I want.
Yeah, it's great. All right. Well, I've taken up enough of your time and you want to go run. And so thank you so much for doing this. And I'm so glad that you came on my show.
Yeah, thank you, Ellie.
So where can people find you online? Because you are just a social media maven. I'm kidding. Amelia is like her pictures are beautiful and she has a lot of, like, everybody loves them, but she's very quiet.
Well, it depends. I have my moments. I have my bursts. But yeah, generally pretty quiet.
Even though Courtney DeWalter is in her DMs, guys. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's because I met her and then she bought a piece of my artwork because it was inspired by her. And it meant a lot to me that she actually wanted to buy it.
What was it? Like a picture of a gummy worm or something? Just like a dot. It's like, that's an M&M.
That would be amazing. No, it was a scene that I created on the back of a violin that had a leopard in a hammock and a man playing a cello and faces in the trees. So it's inspired by her hallucinations at Moab.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still never had a hallucination. Have you?
Not from running.
We'll leave it there. And so where can people find you online?
Instagram, Amelia K100 is my handle. I have Facebook too, but I don't check it very often.
Spoken like a warrior.
Yeah. Instagram is where you'll find me.
All right. Well, thank you, Amelia, and have a good run. And I will see you probably soon. We see each other.
We do indeed. It's fun.
All right. Well, have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Ellie. Bye-bye.
Bye.